Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sireesha, and today we're going to be doing a special practice focused on our root chakra or our Muladhara chakra. This chakra is the energy center within our energetic body that helps us feel a sense of stability, that helps us feel rooted, and is tied to our earth element. This is the first of a 7-part series of classes that I'll be releasing over the next 7 weeks. Each class will be focused on each of the 7 chakras. You won't need anything for this practice, but if you've got a block or a book handy, you can use that to bring the mat closer to you, especially if you've got tighter hamstrings. And so just to add another layer of focus on our root chakra, the chakra is represented by the color red. So you might bring a red element into your practice. I'm wearing a red shirt, so you can pick a red article of clothing, or if there's an object that helps you feel more stable, maybe a crystal, a rock, or your favorite plant, you can go ahead and grab that and bring it into your practice space, and I will meet you on your mat to get started.
So we're going to start off our practice in a comfortable seated position. And if seated doesn't work for you, you can always come to lay down on your back instead. Instead of crossing my ankles in my seated position, I'm going to place one foot in front of the other so that my ankles are in front of each other rather than crossed. You might shift your weight here from side to side so that you can feel your sit bones rooting down into the ground. And we'll just close the eyes down or soften the gaze downward to a point on the floor in front of you. Allowing that to be your anchor point as we ground in and set our intention for our practice. We'll start by taking a deep inhale through the nose and exhale it out through your mouth. Let's do that 2 more times. Take a deep inhale through your nose and exhale it out through your mouth. Last round. And we'll just sort of sit back into ourselves. So stacking your shoulders over your hips, draw your navel in to protect your low back, and allow your lower body to be heavy here. So our practice today is going to focus on our Muladhara chakra, our root chakra. It sits at the base of your spine. So think about your tailbone, that point at the very bottom of your spine, rooting down below you. And feeling the support of the earth coming up to meet you. So the Muladhara chakra, or the root chakra, really is about stability, finding that trusting in yourself, of the earth element within you. So as you breathe here, shift your awareness to that part of your body that you consider to be your root. As we move on our mat, I invite you to bring your awareness to your new root, that system of roots that connects you to the earth. And through that connection, you can draw up energy to support yourself and to find that stability. And we'll kind of think of all of this together in a sort of mantra or an intention, a short phrase that we'll come back to. I can trust myself. That's the intention for our practice today, to establish and reconnect to that sense of trust, that source of stability. I can trust myself. Maybe you say that aloud to yourself or in your head, whatever you feel comfortable with. I can trust myself. And we'll seal this intention by bringing the hands together in front of the heart center, taking a deep inhale through the nose, and exhale it out through the nose. Slowly blink open your eyes, lift your gaze. On an inhale, sweep your hands up toward the ceiling. Exhale, bring your hands down to the earth, really placing your palms, your fingertips, as much of your hand as you can on the ground below you. Inhale, sweep your hands back up toward the ceiling. Maybe shift your gaze up. Exhale, bring your hands back down to the ground, either side of you, really feeling that connection to the ground. Inhale, sweep your hands back up. Last time, exhale, bring your hands back down to the mat. Maybe close your eyes down as you press your palms up, feeling your spine grow tall. And then we'll slowly release that work and we'll come to a child's pose. So a couple of options here. You can always have your knees a little bit closer together, or you can take your knees a little bit further apart. I invite you to take your knees further apart than you normally would. Your big toes can touch, and we'll start to walk the hands forward, bringing the forehead down towards the mat. And now we're really bringing our awareness here to all of the points of the body that are making contact with the ground below you, feeling the support of the earth, feeling your breath moving through your body, and thinking about reaching your hands forward as you reach your tailbone and your seat back behind you. Feeling to draw that energy from the earth inside of your body. Exhaling to feel it really spread throughout your body. One more round of breath with this sort of imagery. And then we'll slowly press up to hands and knees. So take your time. You might come to forearms as you set your knees to neutral. So you'll bring your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. Press down into your palms. Inhale to shift your tailbone and your crown of your head up toward the ceiling. As you exhale, round through your spine, shift your gaze towards your navel. Inhale to lift your gaze and your tailbone. Exhale to round through your spine, shift your gaze towards your navel. One more round like this, moving with your breath. And then we'll come back to that neutral spine. Now from here, we're going to draw that right foot up in between your hands. And then we're going to turn this into a half splits pose or an Ardha Hanumanasana pose here. So you're going to walk your hands back as you inch your right toes towards the top edge of your mat. Maybe you come onto your heel and flex your right toes towards your shin. Maybe you come onto your fingertips here to give yourself a little more space as you breathe into the back of your right leg. Think about sending your right hip back and your left hip forward. Take an inhale here. Full exhale here. Inhale, we'll re-bend, finding that low lunge pose. And you might think about heel-toeing your right toes towards the top edge of your mat if they aren't already there, and bringing as much of your hand down to the mat as you can. You can always grab boxes or books or something to support your hands if you need to. Otherwise, you can just root down into your fingertips. And again, thinking about sending your right hip back and your left hip forward. Send your hips towards the top edge of your mat, taking sort of a different variation of our Anjaneyasana here, our low lunge, but supported with our hands, feeling that energy drawing up from the earth. Notice what's making contact with the ground right now. Think of that as your root. Now bring your awareness to your pelvic floor, the base of your spine, and start to draw up, imagining that you're drawing up energy from the earth. Get light in your hands, and we're going to slowly start to come up and pause with the hands on top of the right thigh. Now, you can choose to keep your hips reaching forward, or you can choose to come a little more upright, pressing into your right foot to bring more of a 90-degree bend in your right leg so that your shoulders are stacked over your hips. Choosing the option that makes sense for you, that feels right in your body. Take an inhale here. Exhale, bring your hands down to frame your front foot. We're going to send that right knee back to meet your left. Reset, coming back to your hands and knees, and bring that left foot up in between your hands. We'll start to inch that left foot towards the top edge of your mat, finding our Ardha Hanumanasana or our half splits pose here on this side. So you might walk your fingertips forward, you might walk your fingertips back, you might come onto your left heel and flex your left toes towards your shin. Thinking about finding a balance here, finding your center by shifting your right hip forward and your left hip back so that everything's sort of neutral and square here. Breathe into the back of your left leg by taking an inhale here. Full exhale here. One more inhale here. Full exhale here. And then we'll re-bend that front knee, walking the hands forward. So you can achieve that sensation of stretch in that part of your body by starting to inch your left toes towards the top edge of your mat. And you might already be there, that Anjaneyasana, but with your hands on the ground. Now, if it feels unstable in the low back, go ahead and bring your left toes a little closer towards you. Now, bringing your hands to the ground as much as you can, using what you need to support you or staying on your fingertips. Think about drawing your right hip forward, left hip back. Bring your awareness and your attention to your pelvic floor. Drawing up through your pelvic floor, through that earth energy below you. Notice what's making contact with the mat. And then when you're ready, we're going to start to come up. Finding an Anjaneyasana with a variation, a low lunge. You can pause with your hands at your thigh. And notice if you want to stay more upright, or if your body is calling for more of a stretch along the back of your right leg, back of the back leg. And you might bring your hands to your left knee, draw your navel in to support your low back, soften through your shoulders, take an inhale here. Exhale, bring your hands down to frame your front foot. And we'll bring that left knee back to meet your right. We'll sit back on the heels just to come back to neutral, coming to that kneeling position, stacking your shoulders over your hips, and just notice. Feeling that sense of connection. So we'll come back to hands and knees, and we're going to turn this into a downward facing dog. So tucking your toes, lift your knees off the mat, and then send your hips up and back, finding your downward facing dog. Press your palms into your mat, draw your navel in to send your seat a little bit higher up toward the ceiling. And you might pedal it out here, bending one knee and then the other, nodding the head yes, shaking the head no, really feeling the connection of your hands and your feet towards the ground, thinking about your seat, sending it higher up toward the ceiling. Take a deep inhale through your nose and exhale it out to your mouth. Good. On an inhale, sweep your right leg up and back behind you. You might roll that right ankle here, crack and flex your right toes. And then we'll bend the right knee and stack the hips, opening up. Keep pressing evenly through both palms. Square your chest off towards your mat. And you might draw circles here with your knee. And just noticing how your right hip feels. And then we'll straighten that right leg off and bring it back down to the mat. We're going to switch it out. So on an inhale, sweep your left leg up and back behind you, keeping that left leg long. You might roll that right ankle. You might crack and flex your right toes. Your left toes, excuse me. We'll stack the left hip on top of the right, opening up here. And you can find some movement, drawing circles, bringing some fresh blood flow into your hips. Keep pressing evenly into both hands, keeping your torso squared towards the mat. And then we'll straighten that left leg off, square off the hip, and step that left foot down to meet your right. On an inhale, come onto your toes. Exhale, bend your knees, shift your gaze forward, and walk your feet up to meet your hands at the top of your mat. We're going to hang out here in our forward fold, so you might separate your feet out a little bit further apart. You can grab opposite elbows and maybe sway here from side to side, feeling the weight of your upper body lengthen and stretch your back body here. Coming back to the base of your spine, your tailbone. Coming back to your lower body here, feeling the support of the earth below you. And coming back to your intention. I can trust myself. Slowly release your hands down to the mat. On an inhale, we'll lift up halfway. Think long spine. Exhale to fold. Press down into your feet, and we're going to slowly roll up to stand. Stacking one vertebrae at a time, let your head and your hands be heavy. Your head will be the very last thing to come up. If you are lightheaded at all, tuck your chin in at the top. On an inhale, roll your shoulders up towards your ears. Exhale, soften them down by your sides, opening up across the front of your body. Feel your feet rooting down into the mat, down into the earth below you. On an inhale, reach your hands up toward the ceiling. Exhale, fold it forward, diving back down. Inhale to lift up halfway, long spine. Exhale to fold. Step your right toes back to come into your low lunge. Your right hand's going to stay down. Inhale, sweep your left hand up toward the ceiling, finding a twist. Take an inhale here. Exhale, bring your left hand down to the mat. Root down into your feet. We're going to slowly start to rise up, finding our high lunge pose. Maybe you pause, hands at the top of your left thigh. Or maybe when you're ready, you can send your hands up toward the ceiling, straightening out through that back leg, reaching the back of your right leg up toward the ceiling, soften through your shoulders. Take an inhale here. Exhale, spin it out, warrior two. So your front heel and your back arch are in one long line. Your left fingertips and your left toes are pointing towards the top edge of your mat. Your right hand is reaching back behind you, but your right toes are pointed just slightly in so that you can root through the pinky toe side of your foot. As you press into your feet, think about drawing that supportive energy from the earth below you into your legs to firm up the muscles around your bone, to feel a sense of stability and strength here, to truly embody your warrior pose. We'll take the right hand to the right hip. We'll heel toe that right foot in just a little bit and start to straighten through that left leg. We're preparing for triangle pose or trikonasana. So you're going to point those right toes in at a 45-degree angle, just like you were in your warrior two. You're going to straighten through that left leg and bring a tiny little micro bend in that left knee so it's not locked out. And then you're going to reach forward with that left hand until you can't reach forward anymore. And then tick-tock down, coming into your triangle pose. So your left hand can stop on a book or a block. It can stop anywhere along your left leg that feels right for you. So it can be your shin, it can be your thigh, anywhere in between. And now notice where your sternum is pointing. You can totally keep your sternum pointing towards the earth below you. Or you can think about opening out, turning your sternum towards the right. Now draw your navel in. Really press into your feet like you're going to scrunch your mat up in between your feet. And you can choose to stay here, or you can reach that right hand up toward the ceiling, opening out even more towards the right. Breathing here. We're going to pause here for 3 more rounds of breath. If you need to back out a little bit by bringing that right hand to your hip or shifting your sternum towards the ground, you can. Your gaze can be up toward the ceiling, straight in front of you, or down at the mat. 1 more round of breath here. And then we'll come back to our warrior two pose. As you exhale, windmill your hands down to frame your front foot, spinning onto those back toes. And then we're going to turn to the long edge of your mat and walk around to a skandasana at the back of your mat. So you're coming onto the left heel if that feels right for you, or you can keep your entire left foot down onto the mat. Your entire right foot can be on the mat, or you can stay on your right toes and your hands can come down to the mat as well. Again, bringing that gentle bend into the left knee so you're not dumping into that knee joint. You have a little more support here. Really draw up through the earth, through the center of your body, the base of your spine. Breathing here for 3, for 2, last 1. And we'll come back around to a low lunge, this time at the back of your mat. So really moving in all directions here. We're going to step that left foot up to meet your right, finding your forward fold. On an inhale, lift up halfway, think long spine. Exhale to fold. Step your left toes to the back of your mat, finding your low lunge. We're coming to the second side here, so your left hand is going to stay down. Inhale, sweep your right hand up toward the ceiling, taking the twist. Work your left shoulder away from your ear. Feel the sensations of your feet pressing into the ground. As you exhale, bring your right hand down to the mat. Really root down into your feet, feeling a system of roots sprouting through the soles of your feet as you rise up for your high lunge, maybe pausing, hands at your thigh. When you're ready, inhale, sweep your hands up toward the ceiling, finding your lunge. From here, we're going to spin it out to a warrior two. Taking your time with the transition, so heel toeing your feet further out to take up space on your mat. Again, angling those left toes in slightly. Think about sending your right knee toward the pinky toe side of your right foot as you span out, opening your arms out into opposite directions. Feeling the connection of your feet to the earth below you, draw up to really firm up the muscles around your bones and your legs. Soften through your shoulders and truly embody this warrior pose, making that gaze a little softer over your right middle finger. Take an inhale here, full exhale here, and then we'll bring that left hand to the hip. And you might heel toe that left foot in a little bit more, shortening your stance and straighten out through that right leg. Reach your right hand forward until you can't reach forward anymore, and then bring that right hand down anywhere along that right leg, maybe on a book or a block, maybe on your right shin or your right thigh, making sure you're not locking out through that right knee joint, bringing a gentle bend into that right knee. And you can keep your sternum towards the ground, towards the earth. You can think about opening your sternum more towards the left. And this side might feel different. You might have more to give. You might have a little more to protect here. Opening your heart can be very, very vulnerable. So listen to what your body needs and really draw stability from the ground below you. You can choose to stay here or sweep that left hand up toward the ceiling. And maybe you need to adjust your stance. Maybe you need to soften. Gaze can be up toward the ceiling, straight ahead, or down at the ground. And we're going to breathe here for 3 rounds of breath. Drawing your navel in as you exhale to protect your spine. Pressing into your feet, feeling the support of the ground below you and drawing that sense of stability in. Acknowledging that you can trust yourself. We'll re-bend that front knee, coming back to our warrior 2 pose. As you exhale, windmill your hands down to frame your front foot. And this time we'll walk around to our wide-legged forward fold, passing through along the way to find Skandasana at the back of your mat. So the new back of your mat. And you can come onto your right heel. So your right toes are up toward the ceiling. Flex your right toes towards your shin. Bring a gentle bend into that right knee. That left heel can be lifted, hands wherever serves you. Take an inhale here. Full exhale here. Acknowledging your stability. And we'll turn this into a low lunge, facing the front of your mat again. Step your right foot up to meet your left and find your forward fold. And you might nod the head yes, you might shake the head no. On an inhale, lift up halfway, think long spine. Exhale to fold. We're going to separate the feet as wide as the mat, pointing the heels in and the toes out. And we're going to sink the seat. So you can choose to stay a little more lifted here, or you can choose to sink your seat further down. I'm going to scoot back just a touch. Further down, coming into Malasana or your yogi squat. And if squatting like this doesn't serve your knees, you can always come to sit instead. You're going to think about drawing your sternum in line with your thumbs, bringing your awareness to the base of your spine, to your tailbone, to your seat. Feeling that strength, the stability of your roots. Take an inhale through your nose and exhale it out through your mouth. And we'll slowly lower the seat. You can scoot your seat back a little bit to give yourself some space. And we're going to move through a few seated poses before coming into a seated meditation. So you'll keep your right leg long. We're going to bend that left knee and bring the left sole of your foot on the inside of your right leg. On an inhale, sweep your hands up toward the ceiling. As you exhale, turn and fold over your right leg, drawing your forehead towards your knee. And maybe there's a lot of space between your forehead and knee, and that is perfectly fine. Just breathing with where your body is today, feeling your seat pressing down into the ground below you. Thinking about all the stability that resides within you. And we'll slowly start to walk the hands up the right leg. Extend the left leg out long, bend the right knee, plant the right foot anywhere along the inside of the left leg that serves you. Inhale to sweep your hands up toward the ceiling. Exhale to turn and fold, stopping anywhere along your left leg that feels right for you. Noticing if you're forcing your body into a particular shape and maybe backing away from that edge. Thinking about drawing your forehead towards your knee energetically rather than where someone could walk by and see that your forehead and knee are close together in space. Reminding yourself of your intention. I can trust myself. Take one more inhale here. Full exhale here. And we'll slowly start to walk the hands up the legs. And we'll bring the soles of the feet together, knees wide for a Baddha Konasana pose or butterfly pose. So you'll bring the soles of your feet together, and your feet can be as far away from you as you'd like, to where you're making more of a triangle shape or where you're making a more diamond shape here. You'll grab hold of somewhere along your legs, and then as you inhale, lengthen up through your spine. As you exhale, start to lead forward with your heart until you can't lead forward anymore. And then you can choose to stay lifted here, or you can choose to round in, tucking your chin in towards your chest. Again, really feeling your feet pressing towards each other, whatever is making contact on the soles of your feet, thinking about your seat, the very center of your sit bones, that space between each sit bone on the left side and the right side, really rooting down into the earth below you. Thinking about softening through your seat. Taking 2 more rounds of slow, deep breath here. And on an inhale, we'll slowly start to come back up. And we'll find a seated position that serves you. And now know that you can always come to lay down and meditate, or you can choose to stay seated. You can grab a chair and sit in a chair if that serves you. And we're just going to come back to that same pose that we were in if you're not taking a variation. And this time, if one ankle was in front of the other, I don't know if you remember which one was in front, but I remember my right ankle was in front. We're going to shift and put the left ankle in front and the right ankle closer in. And so making any adjustments that you need to, maybe crossing the ankles if that feels better on your knees. And we'll just start to bring the awareness to the seat. And you can kind of rock here a little bit so that you can use sensations to bring your attention and focus to the physical seat. And then that will help you think about your energetic seat. And so you can close the eyes down or shift your gaze downward. And we'll kind of talk through this idea of the energetic seat. So all the poses that we just did are meant to activate and bring into balance your root chakra. And so perhaps you feel a little more aware of that base energy, the root energy, that sense of stability that resides sort of low down in the center of your energetic body. Your chakras don't perfectly correspond to our physical body. They're a representation of this energetic center along a certain channel of energy in our body that sits in the middle. So if it helps to think about the spine, you can use that as a reference point, and you can think about your seat truly in your energetic seat. And you might even bring your hands, one hand on top of the other, and sort of make a bowl shape. You might rock that bowl here from side to side, thinking about a seat, thinking about you sitting in your hands, feeling the support and cradle of your own stability. And we'll bring the hands back to the lap, or back on either side. And we'll do a little bit of visualization here. So as you sit here, imagine a red thread attached to the very base of your spine. Feel that thread moving down through your spine, through the ground and the earth below you, down into the layers of soil and earth, even further still through the earth, all the way through the layers of the actual earth crust, all the way to the very center of the earth and attaching there. So you're tethered to the center of the earth, that energy matching your energy. It's a shared sense of stability, always keeping you balanced. And we'll take a mudra here, or an energetic seal with our hands. And you can choose to try it out, or you can, ignore it and just keep your hands in your lap. We'll do Privati mudra by bringing the ring and the thumb together to touch, extending all the other fingers out. You can rest the backs of your hands on your knees. And this mudra, this energetic seal that you're creating with your hands here, helps to activate that earth energy, that grounding stability energy within you. And we'll just take 3 rounds of breath here with this mudra, drawing all of the strength and wisdom from the earth and from yourself, thinking about your seat, physical and energetic, thinking about your roots. You can slowly release the mudra, letting your hands soften, maybe placing your palms down onto your knees. And we'll just do a little bit of chanting here. So each chakra has a seed or bija mantra, a one-syllable sound that corresponds to each one. And by chanting, you can activate that energy even more. So our poses help to activate that, our mudra, our hand motion help to activate that. And now we're going to use our voice to help activate that. So the bija or seed mantra for our Muladhara or root chakra is LAM, L-A-M. So we'll just chant that 3 times. We'll start by taking a cleansing breath before we chant. So take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale it out through your mouth. And we'll inhale to chant. LAM. Noticing how the vibrations of the chant feel in your body, the residual effect of your chanting and practice. We'll just take 5 slow rounds of breath here seated. Knowing that you can stay in whatever pose you're in for as long as you need to. Otherwise, if you're ready to move on with the rest of your day, you can start to take gentle movements to wake your body up, maybe wiggling fingers and toes, moving the head from side to side. If you're laying down, you can gently start to make your way up to a seated position. If you're seated, just notice any shift or change in your energy. We'll bring the hands together in front of the heart center and bow the head, bowing your thinking mind to that stability, that earth energy within you. When you're ready, you can slowly blink open your eyes and lift your gaze and bow your head towards the earth. Thank you all so much for joining me in this practice. It has been such an honor to lead you through this grounding, stabilizing practice, and I hope that you feel a little more centered, a little more balanced, and more in tune with yourself, remembering I can trust myself. If you enjoyed this practice, let me know by leaving me a thumbs up or a comment in the comment section below, and hit the subscribe button so that you can get all the latest videos from me. Thank you so much and take care.